of Porterville Planning Commission meeting agenda, July 9th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Thank you for all coming and welcome. I'll call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance by Commissioner Christensen. Okay.
Please stand and join with me in the pledge of allegiance. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And let's see. Statement of belief and opening prayer by Commissioner Harris.
I'll go ahead and offer a prayer. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the opportunity we have to meet here tonight as a planning commission. We're grateful for those in our city who selflessly serve, including the employees, the staff, administration, the city council, and other volunteers, and all of us as well. We're grateful for all that they do to keep our community safe and to keep our community a wonderful place to live. We ask that thy spirit be with us, help us to make wise decisions, and these things we pray in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you. I would also just let our prayers be with those in Pine Valley, lost their homes, and our beautiful forest and community. Those in Texas that lost lives in these floods, and in New Mexico, they had floods and lost some. So our prayers and thoughts be with them, and bless them and be with them. Okay. Do we have any disclosures or declarations of conflicts from any commissioner meetings on anything on the agenda tonight?
No.
No declarations and stuff, so we'll pass and go on to approve the agenda order. We have an approval of the agenda order.
Let's make a motion to approve the agenda order.
Okay, motion is second.
I second.
I still moving. Oh, yeah.
Somebody's got it.
Okay,
Emily, you
great.
got it. Yeah, okay. Consent agenda, item C, review possible.
Did we finish the motion? So we got a motion, a second, and then.
Oh, I didn't get a vote? Yeah, okay, everybody, aye?
Aye.
Any nays? No one. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I'll get going. Review the consent agenda, possible approval of meeting minutes from May 14th, 2025, Planning Commissioners meetings. Everybody had a chance to read those and go over? Is there any corrections, deletions?
I did, and I thought they looked good.
I did too.
I thought it looked good too.
Do we have a motion for approval?
I move that we approve the minutes as they are for the May 14th meeting.
I second it.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, reports, planning commissioners. Any of the planning commissioners have a report that they need to talk about or anything?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Okay, Emily, you're up, planning and zoning administrator.
I just want to report and remind everyone that we have a ribbon cutting for the Parkway tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So it's on the north end of the Parkway. There'll be signs directing you where to go. You go down a little bit and then there'll be signs where to park. So hopefully everybody can make it to that. And that's all I have
So is
tonight.
it going to start at 8 or are they going to start gathering?
Starts
Starts
at 8.
The program starts at 8.
Good.
You want to be there before 8.
Okay, so they'll get it done before it gets hot. Well, it'll be hot already. By 8.
How long do you think it's gonna last?
I would bet not more than an hour.
Okay.
It would surprise me if we got like 3 speakers, a few things like that, some surprises, and then there's a classic cars are going to drive by or something.
Who's conducting it all, or
The mayor.
Oh.
Mayor will be the MC, I guess.
MC? Yeah.
Will it be discussion of where we are with the bypass and all that, or?
He'll give it a kind of an update on all of that. I can give you a little bit tonight too if you want.
Well,
So
you got anything else? Well, you're up, Darren.
So really, the ultimate question is when are the construction vehicles going to be gone? We're thinking mid-September is when they'll finally finish that out. So right now, as you're experiencing the temporary stoplights on the south end, there's two phases there. So you're seeing them create another tie into the existing asphalt by Choya Creek and coming down right there. So that'll remain one lane of travel for a while till probably mid-August, as well as on the north end, they'll do kind of a similar type of thing. This is all preparation for tying in. You'll be coming down there in the second phase of the south tie-in. You'll be coming down to the new T intersection. And then you'll turn and go left. You will not go up the Parkway as of yet. That's towards the end of July. And then towards the end of July, you'll see them doing construction at the north end as well. And at some point, they will send traffic down the Parkway itself as part of those tie-ins. But they're getting rid of those big arcs that are on the on the existing road right now. They go to rubblize and just then demolish those lanes, as well as move some storm drains and install some retaining walls. There's a lot of different activities there. So for the next little bit, all I can tell you is that you will be down to one lane on both the north and the south sides of that tie-in for a bit. And somewhere I would say August, or beginning to mid-August, you'll start seeing traffic a little bit going up and down the Parkway.
So when you say T, is it all a three-way stop, or is it a free
So
ride?
it's a T intersection. So the existing roads as we know them now will T into the new Parkway. The Parkway will be a nonstop flow through.
Right.
You will have stop signs at the T intersections.
So
So just like if you're coming out of the Old Church Road here and you want to turn left and go down Tokerville Boulevard, it'll be the same type of scenario as that.
So you'll have to stop and turn.
Yeah, you'll stop and turn left or right. And then people will be able to turn off of the Parkway and come down up into town, old part of town.
So it won't be coming up, going to the north from down here. It won't be a slip shot going to the right, keeping up on.
You'll have a deceleration lane to turn. So if you're coming from Laverton and you want to come up past Choya Creek, Choya Creek, you'll have a turn lane off of the Parkway. So you'll get out of the travel lane, you'll decel and turn right and go up the Parkway or up the existing
Okay.
boulevard.
They're not going to put a slip
Yeah.
shot. Okay.
But the default on both ends will be to take the bypass unless you make a choice to stop and make a turn to go into.
Correct. Either a left-hand turn to turn down in
Yeah.
or turn up in or, yeah.
So are they going to block it off to go into Litchfields, or are they going to leave that for Litchfield's private?
Litchfields is the actual, the tie-in there is for Shangri-La Drive. A little portion of that has been dedicated to Tokerville City, like 20, 30 feet. But beyond that, they could gate it and say, hey, don't come down this. It's not just like Westfield Road. Westfield Road has not been dedicated at this point. You're coming across, if you could drive across that on that dirt road, it is driving across private property right now. So, well, we're working on an easement to get some sort of access from Westfield Road to the Parkway. We're working on that to have that hopefully before that date when all of the construction workers are gone.
So they can shut it off or block it off, or good old Utahns with just four-wheel drive through it.
So Scott, right now, what we're trying to do is we were looking at trying to find a little bit of extra money. We don't have that extra money to pave it. So we're going to take some of that rotomill where they're crushing up the pilings from the existing asphalt, and they're going to try and grade that onto the Westfield Road. And there again, that just comes back to that almighty dollar. But we're thinking that Firelight owns that property, and so they're actually saying yes, we would like to. We see the need, but their improvement plans aren't as of right now, and so they're willing to give an easement for ingress and egress across their property. right there where that existing dirt road is now.
So Firelight owns that in between.
Mhm.
Temporary dirt road.
Yeah, so it'll be a temporary until they do something with that planning area on Westfield, end of Westfield.
Okay.
And
Good.
so, yeah, essentially that is really the construction schedule for the next 2 months. The contractor has pretty much assured us that they will be done by mid-September. So we can work with them, go slow through those areas, obey the traffic control, and have some patience. That's just where we're at.
So how's the water tank? Is it getting filled?
Water tank is actually filled. They skimmed it off. They did a back T test on it. I think there's a few things there. I think the back T test, I don't know if it came back as positive. I think it did. There's no reason why it shouldn't. No problems with it. It's passed all of the tests for any leakage or anything like that. So they actually went inside, they drained it and went inside and epoxied every crack that they could see. And so it seems to have worked. And
So they flushed and ran the fire hydrants along?
yep, they'll be doing that here in the next week.
She got it test the back T and the drop test that it could be live on Friday.
Correct. Yeah, it could possibly be live on Friday or Monday, just depending. He wants to flush it a little bit.
So is Firelight ready to get a C of O on their model home and get it going?
Yeah, we've held off on a couple of things. We want to get the landscaping in. The interior decorator doesn't want to do the final finishes while there's dirt on the ground.
So it's going to be a little bit. Really, the road needs to be open before they get their final C of Os on those as well. That'd be the only thing holding it up, though, is the road opening.
So are you still going to keep it blocked? Or
Yeah, it's limited
it's
access
open?
now, and so it's limited access now. It's not, we still have we just barely put the sign back up. Wind blew it over and we had to get it fixed. But it says no public access, so it's limited access to the construction workers and the owners of Firelight, and I guess the Lowe's or any property owner that would have some business to be on there.
There will not be residents there until the road is fully open.
Correct.
So
Probably not until Christmas.
there's not, this open house is just open, grand opening.
It's the last time that they could actually be on the parkway to have they want to be on the parkway and not have traffic on it, because the next probably 2 or 3 weeks, maybe, like I said, the end of July, they'll probably send some traffic up and down the road to alleviate some of that. Yeah, they might use one side or the other side, and it is striped fully down, up and down the entire parkway from north side to the bridge. So yeah, the light's there at the end of the tunnel finally. So yeah, we could probably pull that up. You can see this is just there on the south side. You can see the striping. I couldn't go, for whatever reason, I couldn't get the drone was scared yesterday. It wouldn't fly over there, but I was trying to get over there and get a shot of the traffic that was backed up. And when they first installed it, it took a minute for them to get it all connected and traffic backed up beyond acceptable tolerances. But they got it fixed and everything got moving forward. The next one is just I flip the drone around and you're looking up. There's that Shangri-La entrance of Shangri-La Drive. You can see the turn lanes, the arrows, the travel through lanes that are coming through. The next photo is of Westfield Road intersection there. So so the Westfield Road is to the left and goes over if you go to the right, you go up to that house that's on that hill. So right there, we're planning on putting some sort of millings or something to have that and get an easement from Firelight.
So are they going to install stop signs on those
Yeah, there'll be a stop sign there, definitely.
with the stop white line?
So our
Yeah, with a stop bar.
With
I'm not sure that they'll have a stop bar for the Matthew Foch up on the hill. But we'll have a stop. We plan on putting some stop signs there. A few things that, all the signs have not been installed, know that. That's over the course of the next couple months. And there's a few signs that we've noticed that are needed, that we want to put additional signs.
Well, I just know in my county, before we had the same situation happen, and we didn't put stop signs, and there was an accident, and we lost the lawsuit.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of stop signs. We're not that crazy. And at that point right there, we could actually probably put a stop bar, temporary stop bar too. So,
But the national sign codes for Bill.
yeah,
It's
they
terrible.
do. Yeah. You want to follow those, the manual on uniform traffic control devices. We're doing that. So the next photo is just a little bit up the road. It's the reservoir. That is the keyway on the left. That's as of yesterday. They're still putting in the bottom left corner of the picture there. They are putting a lot of substantial soils that tie into the bottom of the sandstone as well. It's kind of almost a cementy type of soil. And I don't know all of the things on it. If in the very top far distance there, I don't know if, can you zoom into that? And then up a little bit, there's a little brown area that looks like right there. There's two dams. This dam is the coffer dam at the top. So that will keep the water from, it's at the same elevation as what the main dam is. And so that will protect their well that they have drilled right there. And also that won't let it spill over on that side.
So the water level won't be up to there then?
It can be at certain times when it's full. Yep.
Are they gonna pull out all that stuff in the middle?
Yep. That's all gonna come out. 2 years of excavation.
So that other one you show over there to the left, is that the keyway?
Yeah, that's the keyway. Right there where those trucks and things are down there in the bottom, those are pretty big trucks. So those are those big earth mover trucks. So they're pretty substantially deep right there still. So they've still got about where you come, that's all sandstone on top of the cut there. So you can see where they've cut through there, that's all sandstone. And they're tying that into the dam.
So is that about 30 feet to 40 feet deep right there with that truck?
Yeah, it's probably about that. It's probably about 30 feet deep. And then the dam at its deepest spot will be 150-ish feet. I'm not exactly sure the exact, but it's about that. It's 150 feet tall, the dam. And I didn't flip around and take a video. Well, yeah, I couldn't get it. This next one here is our north tie-in. The striping is, you can see the striping ends right there because they're going to be tying in that T intersection. About where the truck is right there is where that T intersection will come in when it's finished.
So that big dirt pile there they're gonna move
Yeah.
that out?
So they're using a lot of that tailings, the pilings and things they're using on the south end as well as up here. And so, like I say, they'll take that north end down to one lane and they'll start tying that T intersection in, just like what you're seeing on the south end. They'll use Jersey barriers and things like that to hold the earth back while they make the temporary tie-ins.
That pile will be used for the connecting ramp.
Yes, it'll use the connecting ramp as well as the south end. But right now they're using some of that material for the south construction as well. The next photo is just out there. I'm hovering above Sapp Brothers, and you can just see kind of the everything, the white building you're seeing down there, the little canopy and stuff. That's all of the construction operations for the reservoir. And the contractor has his offices there and things. So
So how's the Sapp Brothers stoplight coming?
Sapp Brothers stoplight, as of today, I saw a email going around from UDOT that said we are getting you our final comments, not red lines. So I don't know exactly if that means that they're gonna get them next week, that they'll get approved, or if there's additional things that they have to address. But that's as of this morning. There's nothing that we can really do there. So, as you all know, there's a big fire out at, Pine Valley right now, and I couldn't get any much closer than this. I could have, but when I fly, I'm a registered drone pilot. So it comes up and says, don't fly. This is a no-fly zone. So I didn't go any closer than this to Boulder Ridge, but you can see, and as you drive underneath the freeway there, you can see they're tying that in. They've created one of the big, they're 5-acre lots. So they've got a couple of those actually built. They're working on drainage ponds and a few things right now that I see as well. So you can kind of see they're moving along fairly quickly as well, or as quick as they can. With just grading, they are not doing any infrastructure such as power, water, any of that.
So where's the robotic company?
Oh, right there to the right. So you can see the little bit in the right-hand side. So they've actually started building their building. And just barely off screen there. But if you drive out there, they've got their water tie-in. They've got a bunch of the different things. And
Okay, so the building's not up.
oh, it's starting. It is kind of starting to go up. Yeah. Yeah, and building inspections are being done by our building inspector, as well as special inspections and different things. So, yeah, JD's been out there inspecting the water laterals as they tie them in. The sewer district's been out there as they tied in the sewer system, any types of infrastructure. And so, and at the very end, they are required to put curb gutter, sidewalk, and tie into the existing asphalt through the frontage of their property. So, yep, they are working. There are little things going on.
That's great.
I don't know if you have any other questions, maybe throughout maybe the city or this even.
On the right side of where all the dirt is, right across from Sat Brothers, any action of what's going to happen there?
On the right side.
On
Over there, that's the borrow site for the water district.
That's where they bring the clay in. But
They're cutting that down to a 2% grade. And they're gonna leave a pad there. As per our grading ordinance, they have to comply with that. They have to do permanent erosion control once they finally are done taking the material from there and putting it in the dam. So there's requirements there that they have to do once they're done with that. But
no
you'll
bitch.
still see activity probably 2 years-ish from now on that. Not quite 2 years. We're now 3 months into, or 4 months. Well, geez, now we're almost 5 months into the project now. So it's about I think it's about a 15-acre parcel right there. There's about 4 or 5 different parcels.
so it hasn't been sold, or we don't have
No.
anything.
What the districts may be going to do, they haven't decided, but what they'd like to is come in and do a commercial subdivision there, layout, and go to that type of a scenario and maybe sell it out that way. But rather than, and that way we would work with them to make sure that we get our roads and drainages and everything dedicated as we'd like them. So kind of a master plan, but they haven't presented any master plans or anything of that area as of today. Yeah, just the idea.
Anything else? Any questions? Commissioners? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Okay, we'll go to item BE. Discussion possible approve of sign permit submitted by Scott McCall of Sun River Fire Lane.
Yep, so Scott, I
Got your-
don't know if you want to say anything, but I can kind of run through each sign.
I don't really have anything to say, but I'll
Yeah.
answer any questions.
Okay.
That's fine. You're going to present a little bit.
Yeah. So here's the vicinity map. They submitted 3 signs with this application. One's kind of just directing you towards the phases that they're working on, and then the other 2 are directing you to the model home. I don't know if you saw the pictures in your packet, but here's the locations. So this is north up here, and this is the one that kind of leads you this direction. And then This one is showing the future community center, and then this one is directing to the model home. Is that right? I'll pull up the pictures a bit. So this is phases 1 and 2 right here, and then this is phase 3 right here. So I reviewed, these were a little simpler than the Sapp Brothers signs, and they do comply with our ordinance. The only thing I noted on your agenda item sheet is that we don't really have a provision for how many signs you can have in a development. They have a temporary nature like this. The monument signs, the permanent signs they do, but so that's something we can consider. This is 3 phases, plus the community center, and so they've got 3 signs. The main one up there on Firelight Drive, Scott, I'm assuming is kind of covering all of them. So as they do more phases, I don't know how many more signs you plan to submit.
We don't have any additional plans at this time, but we would come back to you, of course, if we wanted to do anything more.
Yes.
That permit
So I think
in
it's,
good standing.
because our code doesn't specify, it's up to you to determine if you think this is an appropriate amount of signs for where they're at, or if you think there should be less, and then we'll cross the next ones when we get there. But other than that, they, right materials, they're going to anchor them down in an acceptable way because they are temporary signs. And then size-wise, they're all within the square footage limitations. I don't know if you want to see them or if you have any questions for me or Scott.
I think the signs look great. I think they're appropriate.
Yeah, colors are neutral, which is what we look for. Nothing's too
Not highly saturated, so
Saturated,
really have a
yeah.
color scheme.
We're not
Yeah.
pulling up, so I'll show you this.
Fireside green is in fashion right now. Sign against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They look good.
Okay, any other questions, clarifications? Do we have a motion?
Because it meets all of our requirements and looks like it'll be a suitable set of signs, I move that we recommend that the city council approve the
Actually,
sign permit.
you just approved this one.
Oh, we just approve
Yeah,
it.
but
Okay,
she
I move
approves
that
this
we
one. She's
approve
right.
this sign permit by
I
Scott.
think she wants me to sign it tonight.
Actually, no, I don't have it.
I second it.
I don't have to sign this one. Okay, we have a motion and we have a second.
Yeah,
Was that-
I said I seconded it
Oh,
already.
okay, sorry. We got a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. It's a sign set. Okay, discussion of possible recommendation. Thank you.
Scott.
Thank you. Discussion and possible recommendation of ordinance 2025 XX, an ordinance to amend and reinstate Title 10, Chapter 17 of the Tuckerville City Code to establish standards and permitting requirements for temporary land use.
So this is code we drafted because Firelight is going to also put up a temporary sales trailer. Darren, do you remember exactly where that is?
So the temporary, it's where we'll be going to be having the ribbon cutting tomorrow morning, so you can see Silver Reef Parkway and Tokerville Boulevard at that intersection.
Right here.
It's just now down towards Tokerville Parkway, or to the right of where you were.
Oh, I see.
So it's Tokerville, Silver Reef Parkway and Tokerville Parkway, right there where those triangle on the south side of that map.
So we've been reviewing those plans. They are tying into the utilities. It is temporary, but there are improvements that they're making to that parcel of land. So we didn't have anything that kind of governed the process for approving that in our code. So we added it. On your agenda item sheet, I kind of pointed out some of the other temporary uses that I added, things that I thought might apply in Tokerville. I don't know if anybody has any other ideas. For now, we just have a sales trailer like this, a construction trailer, kind of like the water district has out there for the reservoir. Seasonal sales, if anyone ever wanted to come and sell Christmas trees or pumpkins or fireworks.
Fruit stand.
I think a fruit stand we said was exempt from a permit as long as it's on private property.
Yep.
So we kind of crossed some of the potential things that could come up. I also went over just the process for approval, which is what we're going through right now. It just comes to me for a complete application and I review it. And then we'll send it to all the departments internally as well as the Joint Utility Committee. And if all of that comes back and they comply with their recommendations or red lines, then they would get a permit from me. I also have the authority to revoke a permit if they're not complying with the things that we asked them to do. Kayla had a few red lines and some things to add.
Yeah, mostly grammatical and then just a few, not like super huge changes, and then just a few other things to consider. So you can scroll down. I mean, most of them are not material. They don't change how the ordinance reads really.
This one.
Okay, so can you zoom in a little bit? Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is one I want to talk about. So Emily created this list of exceptions. These are temporary uses that you don't actually need a permit for. And one of these exceptions is educational, religious, or civic activities held at public schools, churches, or governmental facilities. Something I think may be important to consider is whether we want to specify like how long can these events go on to be temporary? Do we want to place a timeline on that? I know it might be kind of tricky with like a public school event, but it might be worth just saying, you know, how long can something go on before it needs a permit, that sort of thing.
If we're thinking of city activities, those are usually a day. So obviously temporary in nature, but church activity or school activity may be longer. I've seen other cities do like 60 days or less, but Kayla said we could go longer or shorter. if we
Yeah,
want.
I thought 60 was a good suggestion, 60 to 90. I think that puts you clearly within the temporary range. Anything beyond that would feel pretty permanent. So it's up to you guys if you want to suggest something. If you want to leave it open-ended, that's fine too. I just thought it might be nice to specify so that we know, you know, how long is temporary.
So a question I have regarding that is if we're going to put a timeline, we only want it on number 4 of this, or do we want it up under G?
Yeah, that's a
or-
good question.
Or
I mean,
overall?
yeah, we
Because
could,
I think I don't want a 60-day yard sale,
Right.
you know? So I do think it would be, I don't know if we want to do a separate timeline for each one.
good question. I thought about that. As far as yard sales go, they can't, I feel like there is a pretty good limitation there. I mean, we can expand on that, but they can't have more than 4 garage sales in a year, and each garage sale can't exceed 3 consecutive days. So there's a limitation
Oh,
there
that,
as far
I,
as
so
what we
that'll
can
stay
do.
there the way it is.
With produce stands, I didn't feel like we really want to put that limitation on them because it might go on for a lot longer. You could, a thought, you could limit them to, you know, like summer.
They're generally seasonally.
Yeah, you could.
No, I
it's something
think
to
you
think
have it
about for
written
sure.
just right. Now that
Okay.
you bring up all those points. Yeah.
Okay. And then same with city or city sponsored events. I kind of figured, you know, the city's probably not going to have an event that goes on for a year. It's probably going to be a day or so.
I mean, I could even go for as short as 2 weeks on the 4th one. Like I'm trying to think of temporary things like cookie drives and book
Or a food
fairs or
Yeah.
I can't think of anything that usually, or even if churches are having like a vacation Bible school, that's usually are those usually longer than a couple weeks? I don't know.
Sometimes
More
they're-
only
think
familiar
maybe-
with-
I'm not actually familiar with those,
So
but
maybe we should say 60
I
days just to enhance
60 days.
liberty.
60.
Since we like freedom.
But each application will
Well-
have its own
Yeah.
permitted timeframe anyways.
These would be
Correct.
exempt, right? They
Oh,
wouldn't
these-
have
these are the
to.
exempt ones.
But
Okay.
the other ones did have timelines on them already.
So kicking back the temporary for the cell trailer or whatever. And before temporary, when it gets over 180 days or 6 months, that definitely becomes almost permanent. But in the case of a cell trailer, that's probably going to be there for years.
Oh, but that's,
But they'll probably move it from area to area.
So we put in there that it's allowed for the duration of active construction, subject to an annual review by me. So if it is every year, we'll just make sure that they're actively engaging in that construction.
it's
If not, we'll revoke it.
dilapidated or.
And they do have to
deteriorated.
provide the suggested duration in their application, and Emily has the authority to say yes or no to extensions.
Or renew it, something like renewing it. The other thing, and you commented before that the city's making them hook up to power and water, but they're gonna have a Santa hut there.
But they're gonna what?
They're
Sorry?
gonna have a Santa hut for.
Yeah,
So.
they're not doing sewer for this one, but I mean,
Yeah,
they
they will.
could, that would be
Yeah.
part of the
Yeah, they will
application
not, on
review.
this one, they will not have any sewer. They'll only have a water lateral. So,
And sometimes when they come in with the nice ones and stuff, they'll set up where they have full utilities and things like that.
yeah, they don't, in their temporary sales trailer, they don't have bathroom facilities or anything like that. It's just an office is what they've done. But you might have a different developer that comes in and does something that has bathroom facilities that would need a sewer, a water, a power, all of those different types of things.
So typically, let me ask, and maybe you've asked this question, the first couple of model homes, they'll set up the garage as a sales office, and then they'll have the utilities in there. Are they planning on doing that?
Their first house is permitted as a sales office.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they have already done that.
So they're doing this temporary until they get into the first house, or
They're gonna do both.
they're gonna do both?
They wanna
Because
do
it's such
both.
a large area and some of it I think the house is gonna be focused more on the 55 plus and this one's gonna cover kind of other areas of the development.
Right. That's kind of, and that it won't have, it'll need to be ADA accessibility. It'll need things like that. So, I guess there is certain ways that you can do that in a gravel scenario. I didn't realize that, but
So typically, and I don't know if it happens here, but typically, the model homes and stuff, they pre-sell to people and they lease them back until they get all done with them, and then they.
yeah, I don't have any idea.
You don't
Wish
know what
Scott was still here.
That
He could tell you.
I would think it'd be there for years since this is all gonna go in phases, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but usually they'll jump with the different models.
But the office will be able to put wheels back under it and move it to a different location as needed.
So that house though, I don't think applies under this. They don't need a permit because that's not a
Okay.
temporary structure.
So let me bring it back to see. So the agenda item we have is a discussion on the recommendation of the ordinance, but we have some public hearing on that.
To open the public hearing. Yeah.
So do we need to open for public hearing?
We do.
I'll finish my comments so you guys can hear like my other suggestions. I don't have that many more. Is that okay before we open
Great.
public hearing? Okay.
Okay.
If you scroll down to section H. Okay, so revoking a permit. So if they fail to comply with their permit, or fail to comply with the city's requests to correct or mitigate issues related to the temporary use, it can be pulled. So one of my questions for you guys was where it says, or fails to comply with the city's requests plural, to correct or mitigate issues related to the temporary use. Do we want to make multiple requests? Do we want to make one request if they're not complying with their permit? Does that make sense? So it reads right now, we can revoke the permit if they fail to comply with the city's request to correct or mitigate issues related to the temporary use. So if they're using their permit in a way that's not consistent with the permit that was given, we can pull it. Do we want to make multiple requests for them to correct or mitigate issues? Do we want to give them one chance to correct issues before? Okay.
I
Okay.
think one is enough.
Okay.
I think one's enough
I
too.
think that's more of an administration thing.
Yeah.
But
Well, the
But
reason I'm
we have
asking
to
the
have a
question
rush.
is because, yeah, if it says request, it's like, well, can we pull it after 1 or 2 or 3? Anyway, so it was just a thought I had. Okay. The other 2 thoughts I had were potentially adding a provision in here that after you're done using after you're done using your land with the temporary use, you have to restore it to its original condition. So I'm thinking like you open a fruit stand and then you just abandon the use and you leave it there for years or something like that. It might be helpful to add something in here that says, once you stop or if your permit gets pulled, then you have to restore the land back to its original condition.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I think I have a concern with that, and that is if they're, like in this instance, they're putting a sales theme, the original condition is blank land. But if they're gonna build a house there, I think that would fit with that. So I think if we're gonna do something like that,
Yeah.
it might be more appropriate to put it like, what is the city's expectation of this land after the permit expires or
That's a good
somewhere else?
point.
I wouldn't want to tie people down to having to, if it's destined for the
Yeah, we
next
could put
state of
something like
development.
restore to original condition except where improvements have been made or something like permanent improvements have
Unless
been
city
made or
approves
something like
changes.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or something like,
better than.
Something to give Emily some discretion to go out there and look to see.
Mhm.
Like, obviously, it's a different situation. If they're constructing and it's improved, we're not going to make them tear it out and
Right,
restore it to dirt. So, yeah, we could put something in there to make it really
Yeah,
clear. I think
that's
that's a
a line
good point.
item on the permit, that states
Mhm.
what the condition after it's completed is to be
We
restored.
would want to put it in the ordinance too.
Okay.
We would want it in the ordinance, and we could also put it in the application so that it's
Yeah.
clear, so they know what the
Right, just a
expectation is.
Caveat or something.
So
And then Oh.
question of clarification. When I built and got a permit and everything, you had to put $1,000 deposit down. And when you got done, you had to clean up your lot and make sure everything was clean. And then they had to inspect it to release your $1,000 back. Is that still in place? And does that
It
affect
is
these?
for your building permit for your
Yeah.
home. Yeah, it is still in place.
But that's,
Yeah, my
the
fault.
deposit is for the sidewalk, so we're taking a deposit for any damages you may do to public property during your use, not like cleaning up your lot or anything like that. We can't keep it if you don't clean it up, but
So if it wouldn't affect being on a temporary thing and basis like that.
unless
They
it's
wouldn't
on
have to
public
give a
property.
deposit for the temporary
I
use.
don't think so.
Yeah.
And we
Not
can't,
in this case.
as far as the landscaping requirements, we can't enforce that per state code, that they have to have it. We can suggest and we can ask for, but we can't make them follow that. I actually had a guy not too long ago that told me that the pile of unused roof tiles was part of his landscaping. And
Okay.
because I couldn't, I told him, you need to move that. That was actually on the sidewalk. So he says, oh, okay, I'll move my landscaping back up on, he was being facetious, but he was telling me that was his landscaping. He was going to put that all over his front yard. So,
I just knew
It's a good thought.
for a barn, I had to.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
No problem. My last thought was maybe adding something to this ordinance to make it clear that the city has the right to come and inspect, to make sure that you're using it like you said you'd be. It's implied to an extent, but it's always nice to put it in the ordinance. So, it's an expectation. If you get this temporary use permit, the city can come check it out and make sure that you're using it like you're supposed to be. So that was my other thought, something to add to the ordinance.
And in that effect, we had a fee that we would charge to come and make sure they were in compliance. It wasn't that big, it was like a $50 fee or something, but it would cover the cost of somebody going out to make sure they're in compliance.
We can roll that into the application fee. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's it as far as my thoughts go on this ordinance.
Emily, you got any more? Commissioners?
I like her additions. Other than that, I think we're all happy with what I wrote.
Are there any penalties if they don't vacate the temporary use space when it's time up or anything?
It's a good question.
That's a good question. We could loop in like some sort of fine
Like a
or
fine.
something like that. That's not a bad idea.
Some
You could
people
put in
might
the
just-
We
standard.
could make it more clear. I mean, I think
Right.
there's an argument that you could fine them as is, but we could make it a lot more clear. I think that's not a bad idea at all. If you don't stop using the use and you get your permit revoked, then you're subject to a fine.
Right. And then I'm
You can put that
assuming, sorry.
Standard fine, state misdemeanor up to whatever, that's a standard that you put on.
Yeah, we can reference the fine schedule or,
because we
Look at
do
it.
have that in our code of what let's say if you're not compliant and a class, like you're saying, class B misdemeanor type of a thing.
right, yeah.
And
so I
that
think
gives
it's
our
implied.
ability for our prosecutor to be able to take it through the
Yeah,
process.
even if it is implied, it's really nice if it's expressed, meaning you put it in there and make it super clear.
Right.
It's just a better way to do things if possible. So yeah, we can reference the fine schedule. That's a good idea.
I assume you also have a way of tracking all these various different temporary use expiration dates that might be
Yeah.
all over the calendar and.
Yeah.
Internally, we'll
Yeah.
track them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have multiple
In our
things that we're
permit
tracking.
software.
Yeah, just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
encroachment permits are one of those.
Okay,
It'll be probably in our permitting software, which we can set the expiration based on the use.
okay.
And I want to bring something up on that tracking, and I'll bring it up. No, it's not on the agenda, but just a little bit. It's on these B&Bs that we let go in.
Oh.
And something like that. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, so let's go to business item E2. Discussion possible recommendation. A, the public hearing. I'll open up the public hearing. Public input is sought in ordinance 2025XX, an ordinance amending and reinstating Title 10, Chapter 17 of the Torkerville City Code to establish standards and permitting requirements for temporary land use. Public comment at this time is open. Anybody wish to provide public comment on this? Thank you. Then I will close the public comment at this time.
Let's do a motion to close the public hearing because it'd be technically like an action. So let's just do a motion.
Okay,
close.
We have a
I
motion.
move that we close the public hearing.
I second it.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Okay. So from there, we have any more discussion. We have to make a motion, or you're gonna make these corrections and bring them back, or I think we probably need to.
What do you think?
Substantial changes?
Yeah, so I think these are pretty minor changes. I think we could just recommend approval and just say recommend approval with,
Please.
I can make a list real quick of the changes. So adding a provision about restoration, adding a provision about inspections, and referencing our fine schedule as well as the attorney's red line. So that's 4 changes.
So.
If you guys feel like you can make a motion that encompasses all of
that
them,
we
I
could
would go ahead and do
recommend it
that.
to the city council with those. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
I
open-
move that we recommend it to the city council with the changes that we've discussed and with the attorney's red lines.
I second it.
A second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Anything else? I just want to bring up one thing on these B&Bs or whatever we call them, night rentals. I got one up, well, there's quite a few driving up to my house, but I noticed, I liked it when we had the ordinance that they had to live in the city and everything. But we got one night rental that every Sunday, the cleaning crew comes in, cleans the house after they're all done, and then puts the garbage cans out on the street, and it's sitting in the street, and garbage doesn't get picked up till Thursday. And I've personally, I think 10 times have gone and moved their garbage cans back at their garage. And I don't know if they ever got moved back out for garbage day, but I personally moved them back because they end up with the wind blowing, they end up in the street.
Yeah, that's true, the wind.
And-
not have an
So they should have a property manager or an emergency contact. So
Yeah.
you could reach out to us and we could, if you
Well,
file a
maybe that'll
complaint, we
just-
can reach out to them. They should be responsible for that.
They-
The reason they changed that was so that they could have someone in town who was responsible for those things. So,
And
Just have
it
to hold them
happens on
accountable to
2
that.
houses just on my street
okay,
that
So
happens.
they just need to make the complaint
yeah.
and we can get hold of the property managers.
Yep.
Okay,
There's a portal on our website that you can do that. Anybody can do that.
I'll do that.
And then
I just,
as soon as we
it's
get
just-
them, we address it.
and at
quickly.
night when these winds come up, I'm always moving their garbage, and then they dump right in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
My garbage can is dump too, but I stick mine, I mean, I have to bring my garbage out 3/4 of a mile.
I know that one.
So, okay. I
Do we
appreciate-
not have rules regarding leaving your garbage cans out? for-
I don't know off the top of my head.
No,
I'd have to
there
look at
aren't.
our ordinances.
We
There are
don't
none.
do
We're
the
not like an
garbage.
HOA.
I come from a very strict rule.
Yeah, the HOAs have definitely rules,
You got
Tocqueville
6 hours
City
to get your
Code.
bin back in.
I'm not sure where you'd get with city council and trying to,
Is that a private road or a public road? That's
It's
public.
Shangri-La.
Oh, it's Shangri-La.
It's Shangri-La.
Private.
There's no HOA down there, right?
No,
No, it's a private
There's
road.
no-
it's not, there's no
Yeah,
CCNRs in
that's
that
tough.
subdivision at all.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. So,
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Enjoy and hope to see some of you tomorrow morning.